For any data interventions or AI interventions, the most important thing is having data at a granular level. Local intelligence is the king in agriculture. The more knowledge you have about a farm, a farmer, what kind of weather conditions are prevailing in that geography, what is my satellite data telling me about the soil condition, what are my IoT sensors telling me about certain pest and disease control, and there's a digital collection of images and information from a crop doctor or a crop advisory point of view, which we collect at a farmer level.
From your perspective, what are some of the key characteristics when we talk about digital native businesses in India today? From your point of view, how do you see these traits impacting scalability and innovation at the same time?
A lot of tier one customers or tier two customers that most of the product engineering is used to, their adoption wise, they are an easy target for us. There are standard languages in which you can engage with tier one and tier two customers. There are standard workflows that they understand. They're already interfacing a lot of cutting edge technology on a daily basis. When it comes to rural, the game changes entirely. In rural, not everyone has a smartphone. There are still keypad phones which are being used for. There's a lot of phygital model of products. There are a lot of phygital products that they are consuming. They are still used to walking into a store or an experience center, engaging with the human. They still, believe in somebody visiting them, imparting certain knowledge, and so on. So it is a transition. But through this transition, product engineering becomes, or data interventions become really critical. That's where, the latest hot topic around agents is really relevant for this world, creating not just digital agents which have in-app intervention, but creating agents which can go and digitize an IVR flow for a farmer who can actually in their local language understand what is being told to them over an IVR call, which otherwise at a large scale call center is not practical to achieve.
Hello, you're watching The Mainstream. I'm Simran Shiwalkar, your host for today, and I would like to welcome you all to the first episode of our exclusive series called The Digital Natives Dialogue, where we explore the journeys and insights of leaders shaping the future of technology and business. Today, we are joined by one such leader, Karan Agarwal. Well, Karan, firstly, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. Karan needs no introduction, but I will still take this opportunity to introduce him and share a few things about him.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Karan Agarwal is the Chief Product and Technology Officer at DeHaat, which is a leading agri-tech startup revolutionizing India's agricultural landscape. With over 13 years of experience in technology, logistics, and SaaS, he has played a pivotal role in scaling delivery from 10,000 to over 5 million orders per day. His expertise in building automation platforms, digitizing financial systems, and driving SaaS adoption has been phenomenal in his career. At DeHaat, Karan leads the development and implementation of technology across the entire ecosystem, focusing on analytics, data science, and product engineering to empower smallholder farmers with innovative solutions. In today's episode, we'll take a deep dive into Karan's journey, the challenges and the opportunities that he has encountered, along with his vision for the future of digital native businesses in India. Without any further ado, let's begin. Karan, firstly, sir, thank you once again for joining us. And like I said, your career has been rather transformative. The journey has been impressive, transitioning from logistic to delivery to agricultural tech at DeHaat. Can you tell us a bit about this journey and how this has shaped up your approach?
Sure. So while delivery operates at a pan-India scale, and I was fortunate to be part of the journey through which we leverage technology to reach every Indian household. Practically, delivery has delivered to every Indian household who has ever bought through any e-commerce platform or even B2B platforms. Digitizing that entire journey alongside the whole growth of e-commerce, digital payments, our actual infrastructure reaching to every rural nook and corner of the country, all the postal codes becoming available or reachable for companies like delivery to go and deliver shipments. All of these were enablers for us to leverage technology and make sure that network, such a massive network of Indian geography, is digitized through tech interventions and technology-led growth through data interventions, the right service levels of ensuring that shipment reaches to a customer on time was built as a journey as part of technology. And through that entire journey of innovation, automation, data, that led me to a very good understanding of what exactly as a product comes and solves for the Indian population. And that gave me a good path towards thinking what's the next big. And that's when I found out and I traveled to the rural geography. I understood the rural population, the rural challenges in India, and agriculture became the most relevant sector for me to, think of the next level of disruption that technology and data could create. That's when I met DeHaat, and it was a perfectly in sync with my vision of what I wanted to do in rural. Hence, here I am building the next vision or the next decade of the vision for DeHaat and Agritech in general to enable our Indian farmers.
That's quite inspiring, Karan, and thank you once again for giving us a glimpse of this journey. Along these lines, I understand at DeHaat you are leveraging emerging technologies like AI and data driven solutions to kind of empower farmers. So, can you throw some light on how traditional agricultural practices and the challenges that you have faced along the lines while you implement these innovations?
Excellent question, Simran. So, when you look at digitization of rural geography, one of the biggest challenges is the adoption of technology. While digital payments have actually accelerated the usage of technology, platforms like WhatsApp are very quickly getting adopted. There's a lot of video content that our rural population is now getting used to in terms of consumption. Trust as a subject matter is becoming really, really important. Rural population is beginning to identify trust as something that they have started responding to in a positive way. But all of these become a building block for any technology intervention to create any impact in rural.
Right.
So, for any data interventions or AI interventions, the most important thing is having data at a granular level. Local intelligence is the king in agriculture. The more knowledge you have about a farm, a farmer, what kind of weather conditions are prevailing in that geography, what is my satellite data telling me about the soil condition, what are my IoT sensors telling me about certain pest and disease control, and there's a digital collection of images and information from a crop doctor or a crop advisory point of view, which we collect at a farmer level. We have digitized close to 13 million farmers, out of which we see a very healthy engagement where farmers share images of their crop with us whenever they see any pest or disease. They reach out to us for a lot of advisory. We have a lot of ground operations who are collecting data with respect to farm boundaries, farm lat long. In fact, there are a lot of government engagements where we get a lot of location data related to the farm boundaries, related to much deeper geographical nuances that we leverage in our ecosystem. And there are really great tools and services provided by various partners who help us with very deep understanding of satellite data. All of this data, all of these platforms are put together. There is a feedback loop created with our engaged farmers who give us a lot more information in real time, and we leverage all of them to create a tailored advisory for farmers. We are able to help them with the irrigation and the nutrition management. We're able to help them, notify about certain pests and disease management, and we are able to help them with a lot of hyperlocal weather. All of these advisories put together, they are able to make a much more scientific decision at a ground level. Agri is not just about farm and farmers only. There are merchants involved, there are distributors involved, aggregators involved. In fact, there are manufacturers who are working on science, who are working on agronomy, and we even provide all of these value chains. Every part of this value chain, also intelligence that is coming from farmer level. So I think the strength of DeHaat lies in localization, operating at a farm and a farmer level. How do you aggregate all of this data, create an excellent, meaningful knowledge base, and leverage this knowledge base to provide interventions and intelligence, not just at a farmer level, but at each point in the value chain.
Right. I mean, 13 million is quite a monumental number. It's a huge shift, and this seems like a journey, one of a kind. And of course, there is more to go. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. Moving on, India's digital ecosystem today has evolved rapidly throughout the years. From your perspective, what are some of the key characteristics when we talk about digital native businesses in India today? From your point of view, how do you see these traits impacting scalability and innovation at the same time?
So a lot of tier one customers or tier two customers that most of the product engineering is used to, their adoption wise, they are an easy target for us. There are standard languages in which you can engage with tier one and tier two customers. There are standard workflows that they understand. They're already interfacing a lot of cutting edge technology on a daily basis. When it comes to rural, the game changes entirely. In rural, not everyone has a smartphone. There are still keypad phones which are being used for. There's a lot of phygital model of products. There are a lot of phygital products that they are consuming. They are still used to walking into a store or an experience center, engaging with the human. They still, believe in somebody visiting them, imparting certain knowledge, and so on. So it is a transition. But through this transition, product engineering becomes, or data interventions become really critical. That's where, the latest hot topic around agents is really relevant for this world, creating not just digital agents which have in-app intervention, but creating agents which can go and digitize an IVR flow for a farmer who can actually in their local language understand what is being told to them over an IVR call, which otherwise at a large scale call center is not practical to achieve, is one example. Another example is, more and more rural merchants, rural farmers and distributors are getting used to operating on WhatsApp. They're running full-fledged businesses on WhatsApp. So creating excellent WhatsApp workflows and having AI assistants to actually give a real-time insight to, let's say, a merchant. You can always tell a merchant that, in the next 5 to 6 days, this is how a weather change is going to impact a farmer behavior. An AI agent is actually can tell a merchant alternate decision to take for their own businesses. Such kind of interventions over mediums and languages in which the local rural population is more used to are going to create a lot of impact. Having IoT as a more localized intelligence gathering and through providing sensors or IoT information technology to the rural deeper segments is going to help accelerate some of these digitization journeys. You'd be surprised how much farmers or Indian farmers are now getting used to drone-based spraying. We do receive a lot of bookings where farmers request us to bring in a drone to do certain spraying. And, in Maharashtra, for example, that's rampant. The rural evolution of digital platforms is happening really fast. And AI assistance and IoT and DTech is going to be pivotal in enabling the whole digital adoption. And DeHaat is, as an organization, is committed to lead that entire transformation from the front.
Great. But again, Karan, taking cue from what you've just said, digitization in rural India is quite picking up. The example that you just quoted, farmers getting used to or kind of getting customized with the drone technology, adopting the drone technology over the years. While this has been quite a shift, I'm sure the road has not been easy. So, along the lines, if you could highlight some of the unique challenges that you've come across, right from infrastructure to data accessibility, what have been some of the most significant hurdles that you have encountered at DeHaat, and how have you addressed them?
Things that most recently, we have been trying to solve for is number one, how do you collect data in such a complex geography scenario, right? There are locations in rural where connectivity is really low. If you want to do any digital intervention in terms of location and you want a real-time location of some gig worker, or you want to have data collection of some real-time ground truthing, there's a lot of fuzzy data. There's a lot of data which is unstructured, and deriving the right meaning out of that data is a real challenge. Labeling the data, understanding the accuracy of data are all subjects which require deep research, and that's something that we are investing into. The other challenges are the variation in various language or behavior across India. A one-size-fits-all product that works, let's say, in UP or Bihar may not work for Telangana.
Right.
And as an organization, while we are building a platform, we need to think about how to have more personalized experiences, not just for various crop types or various product types, but even for various geographies and various human behavior. So having deep research of the user behavior, spending a lot of time in all the variations of geography and languages, understanding literacy behavior, understanding what people understand, how do they want to engage with, and building all those variations into a singular platform, which not just serves for Indian geography, but even serves for a global scale, is the challenge, is a real challenge. And this unlocks the entire domain of platform engineering. How do you build platforms that scale up, scale really well? That's another area or space where DeHaat is trying to solve a lot of interesting problems.
Great, and thank you once again, Karan, for kind of highlighting these challenges and sharing them with us today. Moving on, as we are all aware, DeHaat is quite a big organization, is quite a renowned name. Leading technology teams, on one hand, it also requires a unique approach, especially in the sector that we are talking about, agriculture. From your point of view or from your journey, how would you describe your leadership style when there is innovation at one end, collaboration at the other, and especially when you're dealing with a team that is very solid and tech centric?
Great question, and a tricky question as well. Engineering teams have evolved over the last 10 to 15 years. There were engineers earlier who were way more closer to, the cloud infrastructure or the hardware. They were more hardware oriented engineers. And then with cloud first approaches, with digital first approaches, a lot of these engineers started working on frameworks which were offered by these cloud organizations. And slowly we evolved into the world of serverless platforms, where engineers get to focus a lot more on the business problem, while cloud native platforms take care of the rest of the plumbing and technology. Today, we are in a world where engineers, businesses, all the lines are getting blurred. People who are building technology, writing technology, need to be very close to the problem, very to the business. In my leadership style, I have always believed in an operator first mindset or a consumer first mindset. And I, along with my entire teams, we try to be as close to the customer for whom we are trying to solve for. We believe in doing extensive user research. For example, if we are solving for a certain set of farmers for a certain crop type, we would spend a lot of time with those set of farmers. The engineers would go on ground, speak to the farmers, speak to the merchants in the area, the gig workers, understand the real world challenges before we start designing. I try to maintain as blurred as boundaries between technology and product teams and data teams. These are all concepts that have been created over years, but with introduction of co-pilots, with knowledge becoming more autonomous, people having access to translations of technology into product into data, and vice versa, have enabled each of these engineers to play different roles while an AI is solving for something in the background. What adoption of AI for my engineering teams is enabling is, while all the grunt work is being done by agents in the background 24/7, while all the kind of automations are enabling basic code checks, basic security checks, basic following design, basics of following the right design philosophy, all of those things are being done in the background. Engineers are able to focus on the real problems of product engineering or platform engineering, or some of the interesting data problems that we discussed. So overall, I think my philosophy is, like I said, operator first, and that's how I try to drive most of the engineering product and data decisions.
Well, operator first seems like your mantra then.
That's correct.
And before we wrap up, Karan, looking ahead, where do you see the future of agri-tech industry in the next 5 to 10 years? What role do you see from your point of view when we talk about digital native businesses in transforming sectors like agriculture? And how is DeHaat positioning itself to kind of drive this change?
Excellent. So, like DeHaat's tagline says, right, it's from seeds to table, right? So, the whole food chain starts from identifying indigenous seeds or indigenous varieties, thinking of what is the right chemistry to solve for a better product productive farmer or farming consumption, insurance, financial institutions have a lot of interventions in the entire food chain between seeds to farm table. And all of this, the entire value chain of food is evolving rapidly. Government is taking a lot of initiatives in bringing in indigenous varieties of seeds to India. There are newer practices of replenishing the nutrition that has been lost in the soil. A lot of new practices are coming to replenish the soil productivity levels. In this entire ecosystem where traditional organizations, non-traditional organizations, government, and startups are doing a lot of innovation, having the right growth in terms of having the right intervention from a technology point of view is going to be pivotal in the next 3 to 5 years. The whole agri-tech industry is evolving very fast from being technology enabled to technology led to technology driven. As far as organizations are ahead of this curve, they will be able to drive this more successfully with AI becoming more accessible, with training of data becoming much more cheaper, with access to the right tools, which just can be subscribed at negligible cost to do experiments. All of these create an excellent environment for organizations, especially in agri-tech, to move very rapidly from being tech-led to tech-driven. Even in the case of DeHaat, this year's theme is going to be accelerating ourselves on the tech-driven path, so that a lot of decision making that is more human-led becomes more agent-led or becomes more data-led. And it's not just AI which is disrupting this. Even basic statistics have become, or basic mathematics has become more accessible to product engineers, to organizations. Leveraging technology, being ahead of the curve, is going to define success for agri-tech in the next 3 to 5 years, especially in the journey of becoming more decision driven.
Superb, superb. I mean, the shift has been rapid and I'm sure it's going to be monumental in the next coming years. And like you said, from tech led to tech driven, I think the roadmap certainly looks positive when we talk about agri-tech sectors, and with more and more organizations like DeHaat coming in and, putting in the solutions forward. So great. I mean, thank you so much, Karan. This conversation has been truly, truly insightful. Thank you so much for taking us through your journey and your leadership style as well, and giving us a glimpse about DeHaat. While we wrap up, I most certainly look forward to connect with you again.
Thanks, Simran, and thanks to Mainstream, where I could come in and get my voice across a larger ecosystem about how agri-tech is shaping the future.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure our audience has a lot to take away from this session. So thank you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.